Hey everyone, welcome to the challenge player preview for Miss Mattie Lynn Breaux for season 35 of the challenge, now known as Total Madness. Mattie debuted on season 33 of the challenge, War of the Worlds 1, and she was the biggest person missing from season 34, War of the Worlds 2. While many of the other top players and finalists made a returning appearance, Mattie chose not to be on season 34 in order to film Floribama Shore. However, Floribama Shore is not filming currently. We are on season 35 of the challenge, and Mattie is back, and I am pumped to have her back as I really grew to love her as a fan of the show during season 33. Sometimes when watching the show, I get a bit jaded. There's not a lot of people that I really like or care about. Mattie is all around entertaining. She is a great competitor. She is charming as an individual. And honestly, she's really hot. It's just that simple. Gonna give a quick synopsis on Maddie's performance on War of the Worlds 1. Together, partnered with Kyle, they won multiple daily challenges, mostly because they had a giant target on their back as Polly and Cara Maria were targeting them. Once the game became individual, Mattie won one daily challenge. With that daily challenge win, she was able to create an alliance and deal with Cara Maria and Polly to guarantee the fact that she would not go into elimination. Mattie was able to make it to the final. Sadly, she ended up quitting, mostly due to the fact that she was out of gas and she knew that she wasn't going to win. Being seventh place out of eight people in a 50-mile final when you're 16 miles in is very daunting. The good news is, Mattie has run a final before, and now she knows what she's getting into when it comes to one. She also looks to be in better shape going into this season and is potentially sober, so that's big news for Mattie. Moving on, we are going to break down Maddie's physical abilities, her skills, and her vitals. Mattie is 30 years old, which is surprising because she looks incredibly young still. She stands at a whopping 6 feet tall. She's appeared on one season of the Challenger before, has a career 1-0 elimination record, though it maybe should be 2-0 or 1.5. It is a very good 1-0. She is a one-time finalist, as I mentioned before, and her highest finish was 7th place on War of the Worlds 1. When people look at Mattie, they think of Laurel. Both are 6 feet tall, brunette, and kick ass competitors. I don't think it's a fair comparison because Laurel is either the best or the second best female competitor all time, and I want Mattie not to have that burden on her shoulders. However, if we're projecting, that's incredible potential for her. Mattie didn't really dominate physically on War of the Worlds 1. She wasn't a great swimmer, she wasn't a great runner, and nothing strength based she really excelled in. She wasn't bad, she was actually slightly above average, but considering she gets that label of the next Laurel, she didn't do as I'd expect. However, her size did come in handy in all the carnival game and heist challenges. When you're standing on a tiny balance beam and have to grab something far away, having those extra 4 to 6 inches of height that nobody else has gives Mattie a huge advantage. I think if Mattie is completely motivated and engaged, she could very easily dominate this show. The problem is, she knows that if she gives 70%, she'll be okay. Mattie is physically intimidating to the other girls and doesn't need to perform at her best to make it to a final. I don't think she performed at her best on War of the Worlds 1, and she made the final among a stacked cast. It truly becomes a case of how bad do you want it. Because if Mattie wants it, she can really easily become a champion and become one of the faces of this show. If she just wants to have fun, lays around through the game, then she might still do well, but at the same time, we could see a regression from her in her second season. Tori Deal had an amazing rookie season on Dirty 30 and seemed primed to do well her next season, but then on Final Reckoning, she was partnered with Derek. Things didn't go too well, and she was an early exit. The same thing could happen to Mattie this season. Moving on to social, strategic, mental, and political game, Mattie is an incredible social player. She is charismatic, she is funny, and more than anything, she scares the living crap out of other girls. No girls want to get into a fight with Mattie because they know Mattie will fling them. Likewise, Mattie being both attractive and imposing physically, attracts other male competitors. They see Mattie and they see a person they want to run a final with. Mattie displayed strategic savvy during World of Worlds 1 when she created a deal with Polly, Kara, Dee, and Wes. She took a limited power in the Troika and expanded it into safety for the rest of the game. While this move made Kyle mad, it displayed that Mattie cares about herself more than anything at the end of the day. A lot of players have these friendships in the game that ultimately negatively affect them because they spread themselves too thin and they don't care about their game enough. Mattie displayed that all she cares about is winning for Mattie. So even though she'll be your friend, she'll play the game to win. That's good strategy and that's good politics. Her mental ability in puzzles is leaving a lot to be desired. She did win the slider puzzle Mad Max challenge on World of World 1. However, she struggled in almost every other puzzle on that season. Mattie is not in the bottom tier of puzzle people. She is below average, which in the grand scheme of things isn't too bad. As long as you aren't bottom tier like someone like Jenna, you have a chance to win. Moving on into eliminations. Mattie won her one elimination on World of Worlds 1. It was a three-way pole wrestle type elimination where she had to face Natalie Negrati and Julia Nolan. They teamed up against Mattie and they both got squashed pretty easily. What is so impressive about that is that Julia is actually like 5'8" and is very athletic. And Mattie had no trouble with her. Zero trouble at all. Mattie can physically impose her will on almost anyone in a headbanger elimination. I actually don't expect MTV to put Mattie in a physical elimination because of this fact. We will see her in carnival games and puzzles because they want to create a big upset. The biggest thing going for Mattie is the fact that nobody wants to see her in elimination because of her size. Although someone has to face Mattie because of the rules this season. You have to win an elimination to make the final. So Mattie just can't coast by. She has to win an elimination, which could be very easy for her, but she does have to face one. Can she win the game? Very simple. The answer is yes. While Mattie quit the final on War of the Worlds 1, she was 16 miles into the final. She had already completed 4.5 laps. When you look at previous finals like Vendettas and Final Reckoning, those finals were less than 16 miles in their entirety. So while people are like, oh wow, Mattie quit a final, it really isn't a big deal. She ran more in her abbreviated final performance than most other finalists have run in wins. Mattie now knows what a final entails, and that's the most important thing. She took a punch to the face in that first final, and now she's ready to square up and punch back. I don't see her beating someone like Tori in the final, but if she can manage to make the final and ensure that other top players aren't there, then Mattie could really easily win this season. It's about whether she plays proactively rather than just coast to the end. It's a very tempting proposition to just coast through the game CT style for Mattie, where everyone is just terrified of you. However, if you're looking to win, you gotta dominate and you gotta take the win for yourself. I am thrilled to have Mattie back on this season. She brings a charisma and levity to the show that we don't see in most cast members. She's someone you want to be friends with, and I'm happy to have her in front of my TV screen again. I want to say thank you for listening. Please like, comment, and subscribe.